So I'm going to show you how you are going to manipulate your algebraic identities, the 3 algebraic identities. So if you look at this kind of question, okay, so for example, for part A, so they tell you that a square plus b square is 100. So they tell you that a square plus b square is 100, but we do not know the actual value. We just know that the whole block is 100. Okay, and then we know that AB is 24. So I do not know what's my A and B. So some people may try and error. They will say, oh, I think it can be 3 times 8. 3 times 8 is 24, all this. But actually, there's no try and error involved. So you treat it as a whole block of numbers. So you are given 2 blocks of numbers, but you do not know your A and B. So if you are given 2 blocks of number and you do not know A and B, and your aim is to find what is this value. So first of all, do you realize that this looks like Formula 1? So do you realize that this actually looks like Formula 1? So after you write out the Formula 1, you do some reshuffling. So why am I doing some reshuffling? I'm doing the reshuffling so that I can see that this block is 100. And I'm going to do some reshuffling so that this block is a 24. Then you punch calculator. So you get a 148. So if you look at part A, despite not knowing what's your A, despite not knowing what's your B, by using formula number 1 and some manipulation, I actually can find the value. So that means, right, okay, this value will be 148. Can they ask for A minus B square? Okay, let's say, okay, let's say they ask instead, what if you are asked to find A minus B square? Will you be able to find? Okay, the answer is yes. If I have changed a question to A minus B square, which is like formula 2. So I will write out formula 2, reshuffle my formula 2, and when I reshuffle, I'm going to see the block of values. This block is 100. And this product is a 24. So I can also find A minus B squared. So there are some very, very difficult questions on this. So in order to be very, very good with this type of question, you got to be very good with that 3 formula. Okay, so that is part A. Okay, I'm going to erase and I'm going to be showing you part B. Okay, part B is going to be a bit more difficult. Part B is going to be a bit more difficult. So let me erase first. So if you look at part B, they actually gave me 2 blocks of formula. So this whole block is a 40. And this whole block is a 8. And I'm supposed to find the value. This is my aim. So what is this value? Okay, so what is this value? Okay, before I go on to show you, right? Okay, I'm going to write down formula number 3. So formula number 3 looks like this. So I'm going to write down formula number 3. So typically formula number 3 looks like this. I'm going to write formula number 3 with the idea of x and y. Okay, why do I want to do that? Because do you realize this and this are matching? That means actually the x squared minus y squared equal to 40, right? Actually came from 2 brackets. So do you realize that there's a relationship here? Okay, so I want you to realize the relationship first, and I'm going to explore my aim. My aim is to get this. So what does this formula look like? Do you realize this looks like formula 2? A is 2x, B is 2y. So I'm going to apply the formula direct. So I'm going to apply the formula direct. So I'm going to apply the formula direct. Let's see whether it will work. Okay, actually, I'm showing you something that doesn't work. So I try to apply my formula. Then after apply my formula, I try to reshuffle. I try to see whether I can have the block of numbers or not. So you realize I do not have the block of numbers. Do you realize I have x squared minus y squared? Actually, I do not have x squared plus y squared. And I also don't have this. So even though I apply my formula correctly, I actually don't get. I actually cannot continue. I cannot find any values. So after trying this and it doesn't work out because I really don't have x squared plus y squared. And I also don't have this. So I'm going to throw off all this plan. So I'm going to throw off all this plan. I'm going to try whether this will help me or not. Okay. So I'm going to try whether this will help me or not. So let's get rid of this plan. Even though I didn't do anything wrong, but I don't have the values for me to carry on. So I just have to change my plan. So after I change my plan, right, okay, I'm going to target the x squared minus y squared. So it actually comes from the 2 bracket. And in fact, one of the bracket is 8. Can you see this whole chunk is an 8? And this will become a 40 divided by 8. So this one is considered very difficult because a lot of people wouldn't do this. They find they maybe they don't even see a difference between x squared plus y squared or difference versus x squared minus minus y squared. So you actually got to realize that there's a relationship. It's a backwards of formula number 3. And how does that help in my aim? My aim is to get this. Okay, here comes the trick. Do you realize that there is a common factor? Do you realize there is a common factor? So it means that this is double the bracket, duplicate the square bracket. So you actually got a 4. So this is a 5. This is also a 5. So I actually get my answer by using formula number 3, but in a very, very indirect manner. So this is how manipulative it can be. This is not considered very difficult, even though it's a bit difficult. There are even more difficult one. So for the very, very difficult one, right, despite that there's only 3 algebraic identities, the manipulation can be worth 5 marks for this type of question. So this is just to expose you for this type first. Where you come to this category of question, right, you actually got to practice a lot.